Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're talking about maybe everybody's least favorite topic, but I just have bad news. We're going to start off with this. You're going to die. That's right. I said it. It's not a shocker. Maybe to some people it is, but we're going to talk about how to navigate that as a business owner, what you should be thinking about, how to set up your life and your business when that will happen, because it will happen. And I have a very special guest, Adam Zuckerman, with me here today. Adam, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Brandon, great to be here today, and let's hop in. It's a fun topic.
So yeah, fun. I don't know about that, but we're gonna shift it to be fun. But I deliver the bad news that everyone's gonna die. I did not want you to come on here and be the bad news bear. But tell me about this, because this is a touchy topic for some people. How do you kind of approach this conversation? I'm curious how you even start this with people.
Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to. Generally speaking, if someone is reaching out, it's because they have a problem that they're trying to solve, or at least get ahead of things. But the reality is that most people are actually very receptive to having the conversation. The reality is that settling an estate in the United States, it takes 570 hours on average. And that's assuming that you do not have a business. And one of the things that business owners want to do is reduce pain points and make their lives a little bit more efficient. And the good news is that when business owners learn that they can take steps to solve themselves problems down the road and solve their business partners and their customers and their clients and their families' problems as well, they're generally very receptive.
All I heard from that statement was the 570 hours, and that just sounded very expensive to me.
Yeah.
So is that,
well, it doesn't need to be.
It's ridiculous.
It doesn't need to be. And the reality is that different businesses require different levels of preparation. So you're unique, just like everybody else. And I don't think it's a good idea if you're a solo entrepreneur that's just getting started, that haven't even figured out if your business is going to be an ongoing concern or if it's going to be a lifestyle business. You don't need to create buy-sell agreements and spend 80 hours trying to figure out what you need to do in the event something were to happen to you. The reality is that you should be planning for an estate transfer, and that's on your individual side or on the business side today, so it can take in effect and go into effect tomorrow, but it has to evolve with you over time. So you don't need to do everything right away. And anybody that tells you something or tries to sell you something that says you need a complete and total package without understanding what your situation is and where you are, quite frankly, go find somebody else to help you. But it grows with you. It shouldn't be a complicated process.
I mean, that's comforting. It's good to hear, but I want to kind of address that too, because I have talked to people who say, do all of it at once so you're protected. I love that you don't say that first and foremost. But let's say someone, the listeners of this show were established business owners. We have teams. We have a couple of solopreneurs. We have some people who have massive companies. What would be, but like I said, they're established. They're in business. This is a thing. There's no idea of wanting to start a business. What would be the first step, the most common step? I know everybody's unique and different, but what are sort of the things to consider if they haven't already done this sort of work?
I'm going to bifurcate it into two streams. The first stream is make sure that your own affairs are in order. The first thing you need to do is organize all your information. And this goes far beyond what happens to me if I am incapacitated or if I die and what happens to my assets. It's figuring out who your key contacts are. It's identifying all of your bank accounts, making sure that you have payable and death beneficiaries, making sure that there are advanced directives in place so somebody can advocate for you on your behalf if you can't do so yourself. There's a laundry list of things. We actually have free checklists on our website, a product called the Clear Kit that helps you organize all your own information. Once you've organized all of that, then you need to tell 3 people that are close to you. If you're married, your spouse, your lawyers, somebody that's going to be involved in the system, that you've done the work. And the reality is that if you don't tell people that the information exists, chances are that if something were to happen to you, they're not going to find that information when they need to. And that means that it doesn't exist for all intents and purposes. Then after you do that, you start identifying the gaps where you can bring in service providers to help you out. Because if you have a business, if you have a more complicated estate, odds are you're going to be relying on the expertise of service providers. And those can be attorneys, financial planners. There's a whole host of them that you can go through. We actually have 20 directories to connect people with service providers that help in various capacities. Now, assuming that you have all of your personal information, personal estate planning done, and that can involve trusts, it can involve wills, it can involve advanced directives, everything that we've talked about, then you need to start focusing on your business itself. And there's two pathways there. The first one is yourself. So if something were to happen to you, if you got hit by a bus, the proverbial bus, you have a heart attack, or even if you just get incapacitated and go into a coma for 2 months, hypothetically speaking, you need to think, what's going to happen to my business? And these are the documents and the steps that you need to take to put things in place. So if that were to happen to you, your business can continue. Now, a lot of people think that they're the most important person in their business. And quite frankly, maybe you are. Maybe you have key man insurance. But that doesn't mean that if something were to happen to you, that your customers are going to know what happened, that your business partners are going to know how to step in, that bills are going to be paid, that orders are going to be finalized, that the decisions need to be made. And that's what you really need to figure out. Now, there is the operational side of things, which is really important. So having those plans in place so your employees and your partners know what to do. But then there's the legal side of things as well. So if you die without a will anywhere in the country, it means that you died intestate. And most people think, oh, that means that I died without an estate plan. But the fact is that's false. Every single person has an estate plan. And what I mean by that is if you die intestate, the state where you live is going to decide what happens to all your stuff. There's an order of operations. Now, let's say you and I, Brandon, are in a business together, right? I'm going to get hit by a bus.
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
Yeah, it was really bad. I was crossing the street. I looked left instead of right. It was a bad experience and flattened like a pancake, just like in the cartoons that we watched growing up, right? I'm married. And if I don't have a buy-sell agreement in place that protects you, what that means is that my wife is going to inherit my side of the business. So now you're in business with, guess what? My wife. Maybe my wife isn't the best business partner. Maybe you don't want to be in business with her. These are the type of things that we need to be thinking about of what are the eventualities that could happen in the event I don't do anything, and how is it going to impact everybody else around me?
She's actually better than you, and I'm glad this happened. You know, I'm sorry about the bus, but it's just better for the business long term.
It probably will be.
But you know, the other thing is when the state and the government gets involved, you know, they're so efficient and well coordinated that I can't see that process being a disaster at all. So what does that look like? Because I've seen firsthand the horror stories of this, and what does that look like? If let's say you're a business owner, by myself, I'm a business owner, I have wife and kids. We're going to assume I don't have any of this set up. I mean, what are they going to get? How long is it going to take? What are we really looking at if this were to happen?
It can be months to years, if not more. There can be litigation involved. If there's someone that's contesting the transfer, it can get very, very complicated. And it starts with a process where you need to literally go on a scavenger hunt to find all the documents to see what's going on. And during that time, you still have to file your taxes. You still have to pay your bills. You still have to work with your customers. And someone has to figure all of that out. So it's not an easy process. And just finding where your operating agreement is, just figuring out how to log into your computer so you can file your annual business filings with the local jurisdiction that you're in, that's really important. And guess what? If you miss deadlines, oftentimes there's fees that are associated with it. So just like you did on your personal side, you need to be organized to have everything in place. And there are plenty of companies that can actually help you with that process. And some companies actually get acquired. What's neat is that companies that go through this process, it oftentimes helps them identify pain points. So I don't have somebody that can step in and take this. I don't know where this bank account information is. And it sets you up for investment and acquiring and other things down the road that will help you out, because you'll have a complete package of, no, this is the plan. This is where everything is. Guess what? I've already done the work, which is great. Now, earlier I said that there's two pathways for business owners as well. So once you have your own information, organized, and you've got your company in a secure and comfortable situation, you also oftentimes want to start thinking about your employees. So on the personal level, I mentioned that it takes 570 hours on average to settle an estate. What would you say if I came to you and said, hey, one of your best employees is about to be in a pretty rough spot because one of their loved ones passed away, and over the next 3 years, they're going to have to find 570 hours in their schedule to focus on things. And that's probably going to be bad for your business, right?
Doesn't sound good for business.
Yeah. And that's why you want to provide them with employee perks and tools and resources that are provided by the company, that in the event something were to happen, they don't have that 570-hour lift. And that's exactly what a lot of our products are focused on doing. It's a 56-step checklist of what to do in the event somebody dies. That's co-branded, powered by Buried in Work on your company letterhead. It's our clear kits, which make sure that they have all of the information in one place so that if something were to happen to them, their family members, their loved ones know what to do, how to do it, and where to access the information. Now, a lot of companies give perks like, oh, we're going to give you $50 a month for a gym membership, or we're going to reimburse your metro or your commuting benefits. But the reality is that a benefit like this shows that you actually care about them, that you want them to be around for a long time. So it's an employee retention tool, because you're not going to give an employee something that could not impact them or could possibly impact them in 30 years or 20 years if you thought that they're going to leave. So it's something that is very, very well received by employees.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't consider that too, but it's so obvious, right? You have employees working for you. If you're doing this for you and not for them, it's just a risk. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but it's obviously a risk. Now, that I'm curious about the 570 hours, is
Mhm.
that time spent by attorneys and other service providers, or is that your actual involvement, regardless of those other service providers?
That includes the process of taking all the steps to settle an average estate. So some people use attorneys, but many people in the United States don't. It's the process of probate in many places, and there's different types of probate depending on where you are. We actually have a guide to probate for every single one of the 50 states in Washington, D.C. on the site for free. That explains these are the 8 most important things that you need to know, because where you live actually matters. Um, but regardless of who's doing the work, if they're hiring an attorney, if they're doing it themselves, there is going to be a lift, and it is going to be a very stressful time. And like you said earlier, I mean, the reality is everybody dies. The stats in America right now are crazy. So every single day, 10,000 people turn 65 on average, which means that in the next 6 years, there will be twice as many people over 65 than there are today. And for people that are either working in that generation still or about to retire, it's super important. But also for people that are my age, I'm in my mid 40s, I'm in the sandwich generation. Odds are I'm going to be dealing with this for at least one of my parents, or both, if they're both still around, in the near future. And that's not to say that 45-year-olds don't wake up, or fail to wake up in the middle of the night to have a heart attack. So the reality is that this is unbelievably important. And it's sort of like cancer. And what I mean by that is, if you are impacted by cancer in your life and you start telling your friends that so and so in my family got cancer, you're going to hear all of these stories about other people, how they were impacted too. This is something that is so prevalent that people just aren't talking about until they start talking about it. And if you ask people in your company, have you gone through this? Have you seen somebody gone through it before? They're going to say yes. And if you can offer them a tool that makes that process easier, they're going to be very thankful for it.
Yeah, it brings to mind too. We work with a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs, and we ask some of the similar questions because our whole goal is to free the entrepreneur, right? To have them not be tied to their business, because that's risky. That to
Mhm.
me is the most risky thing. And you brought that up before as well. And when we develop, whatever it is, systems and processes, or just checklists of how to do things, which sounds like your website is a gold mine of checklists. So please go there. I'll put that on the screen here.
Yeah.
Um, buriedinwork.com. But you know, so many people fail to overlook these things, and they're so necessary to run your business and operate as a human being, really. They always say, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week,
Mhm.
I'll do it when I hire somebody, I'll do it when I can afford it, whatever that is. There might not be a tomorrow, whether it's the systems in place to run your business without you should this happen, or to run your family, like Adam's talking about. So it's not the most fun conversation to have, but tell me on the backside of it, when you've gone through this process with someone, when they are planning ahead, they're not sick, they know it's going to happen. What sort of relief or comfort, or really what emotion are they feeling when they're just in maintenance mode and they're updating things here and there, but it's not the constant worry about it?
It's peace of mind. And the reality is that you should be doing this. Everybody knows that they should do it, but most people don't start unless there's something that happens. The absolute worst time that you can start thinking about business succession and what to have happen is when you need it. And there is a variety of reasons that we can go into to explain that, but I think it's pretty obvious that's just not the time that you want to start. It's stressful, it's difficult, it's challenging, and quite frankly, that's how you get into problems, because you can then have challenges that you did something under duress. For example, I'm an attorney with an MBA, and the legal side of things pop in. But you're right. You should start. You should think about yourself, your family, your business partners, your employees, your customers, all of that. And when you've gone through this process, it goes to maintenance mode and it just becomes much, much, much easier.
I love it. Enough said, right?
Yeah.
Well, I put the website on the screen, buriedinwork.com. What would be the best first thing to download from your website for the listener?
If you're focused on yourself, we have a free estate summary worksheet. It's in the template section in the shop. Go download that. It's 3 pages, super simple to fill out. It'll give you a high level just overview of where you are. We've got a roadmap also of what steps to take. On the business side, we've got resources for business succession. We can connect you with service providers as well. And I'll leave you with one tidbit and advice. It's not about what you know. It's not about what you don't know, but it's those unknown unknowns. And an example, what I mean by that is I was speaking with an individual from Virginia a few months ago, and he had 2 kids. He was married. He ended up getting divorced, and he updated his will to say that if he gets hit by that proverbial bus, 50% goes to each kid. Sounds like he did the right thing. But what he failed to realize is that by not updating his payable and death beneficiaries on his bank accounts, on his work accounts, on his insurance policies, all of those resources would have gone to his ex-wife, because those are contractual in nature and they get processed before your directives in a will. There's a lot of things that if you're not working with somebody who knows the space intimately, you're going to miss. So what you should do is get yourself organized, gather all your information, do what you need to do, and then have somebody review what you've done.
Scary but true. I love it. This is a much needed episode, and a breath of fresh air that it actually could be easy. So Adam, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Brandon, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, all of the links, everything Adam talked about down below in the show notes, in the description. Go check that out. And also make sure you subscribe. We love bringing these episodes to you 5 days a week so you can build a more harmonious business and life. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.